Thank you. You too.
Thank you. You too, yeah.
Thank you for fire on the screen. My screen is on fire. Excellent, excellent. All right, so let's begin in a moment.
Is it just the two of us?
Yes, so we have two speakers, yes, today, and third one could not join us, and we will be recording this and then sending this.
Okay.
All right. Good morning, Hayley, and good afternoon, Alicia. Thank you very much for coming over for this fashion summit. You guys, I'm sure, have a lot of experience, and you guys are doing fantastic work. I just read everything about you, and I'm so inspired to look at your journey, to look what you guys are doing. A lot of questions are now bubbling out of me, which I'm going to be putting on table for you to answer. Let me introduce Alicia first. Alicia is English. She is from UK. She is currently living in London. She runs a business in footwear. When I was looking at her website, she is selling vegan shoes for men and women. Now, I don't know what vegan shoes are. So a lot of people in my part of the world perhaps do not know what are vegan shoes. We will get to know more about vegan shoes from Alicia. Alicia is a founder, director of her company, and she has over 15 plus years of experience. You don't look that old. Passionate about sustainability and ethics in fashion wear. She also guest lectured in London College of Fashion and Fashion Retail Academy. She has interviewed many times on BBC, and she has interviewed in Richmond retail e-commerce directors, and she has been all over the media for all good reasons. And she has been running her company from 2005 until a few months back, and now she is rebranding herself. She's rebranding the entire image of her company and relaunching in 2021. So she's taken a break. We will come to you about this break, Alicia. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming over. Thank you so much. We will talk to you in a bit.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Hayley. Hayley again is a very passionate about what she does. She is running a company called Maddie Apparel. She again believes in manufacturing in the US and giving back to society. Giving back is extremely important for her. Reciprocating is very important for her. She is also working for a lot of women in the world, in her country, in the US, who are being affected by domestic violence. For every item that somebody purchases from her store, she is able to give an innerwear to a woman in US for free. That's the way that she is giving back to society. She is also doing a lot in the Kansas City for women at risk. She is featured in Self-Made Sisters podcast in Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much, Hayley, for coming this morning. You are definitely a giver. People buying from you, and for every buy that they do from your store, you're giving back innerwear to a woman. That's a fantastic thing you're doing. And thank you so much. I'm sure we can learn a lot from you, from your compassion, and from the way you do your business. To the fantastic ladies on panel, thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. Let me ask the first question to Alicia. Alicia, you have been doing this thing for a while. From 2005 onwards, you're doing footwear. Why did you choose footwear?
Yeah, I mean, my background is actually podiatry. So I'm actually a podiatrist in a former life. And I love footwear as well, really. And I started the business in 2005 because it's a vegan business. So we look at vegan materials, and I couldn't find anything that I liked. So I thought, why not start my own company, really? We started off as a marketplace. We had footwear, shampoos, all sorts of different things. And slowly but surely, Our customers were asking for footwear, and that's how we slowly got into manufacturing our own brand of footwear. And we did this in Portugal, and we've been doing that since 2007. And yeah, I had some children, had a break, relaunched a little bit, looking at pivoting and changing the business again, relaunching hopefully next year. So let's see how we go.
Excellent, wonderful. So you have been manufacturing in Portugal, and now are you still manufacturing and thinking of manufacturing again in Portugal, or do you looking at manufacturing in other countries? So this question is primarily for people who are manufacturing in their not home countries, manufacturing in Portugal, manufacturing in Bangladesh, manufacturing in China. Why should somebody in UK not manufacture in UK?
Well, when we start, sorry.
Cost is definitely one thing. What else?
I think it's the infrastructure that is here, really. And, when I looked at producing vegan footwear back in 2007, people thought we were crazy. You know what? It's plastic. People don't understand what vegan footwear is. I mean, the innovations and materials that are available these days is amazing. We can go to that later. So we would go to MeCam, etc., footwear trade shows and talk to factories and ask, who wants to make my vegan shoes? And we got so many doors slammed in our faces, but at that time Portugal was one of the areas which were actually willing to look at our materials, try them with us, and manufacture our footwear. So that's why we first started off in Portugal, really, is where we found partners who have an understanding of where we're coming from, are willing to work with us with the materials, because vegan fabrics are not easy to work with. They're not like leather. So yeah, that's how we found our partners.
Wonderful, excellent. So the message which Alicia is giving is this, guys. If you're looking to manufacture something, you can't just give it away to somebody for manufacturing. These folks who are your extended partners must also have a common vision. They must envision they must see what you are seeing. They must envision what you are envisioning. And then you should choose your partner, not because somebody is giving you stuff for cheap, or not because somebody can do it. Matching of vision is extremely important, is a message given by Alicia. Thank you so much, Alicia. Thank you very much for that message. Hayley, coming to you, why are you doing what you are doing? What's your why?
So I started Maddie Apparel back in 2012 when I learned that underwear is the most needed and under-donated item of clothing across the world. And so that was kind of like a shocking statistic to me that I'd really never heard, but really totally made sense. And so as I started doing some research, I found out more and more the different types of organizations that can use underwear, like domestic violence shelters, homeless shelters, rape clinics, all across the world, really, orphanages, different types of organizations were really in need. And I found out that the organizations would have to use their own budgets to go out to buy new underwear to keep it in stock for women if they didn't have it donated, and it had to be donated new. That's the only item of clothing that can't be donated used, and that's why it becomes so under-donated. So I learned that. I knew about one of the only at the time buy one give one models, Tom's shoes, where they donate a pair of shoes in need for every item sold. And so I knew about that model. I just decided I wanted to make a difference, but I wanted it to be in every area of my business model. And so at that point, when I decided to form Maddie Apparel, I knew that I wanted to donate a pair of underwear for every item. And then I knew that I wanted to make the pieces all sustainable. So we use sustainable fabrics. And then I knew that we wanted to have fair manufacturing. And for us, that ended up to be in the US. That way we could lower our carbon footprint, but also just because, kind of like you mentioned earlier, we would know firsthand who was making it, meet them, see the production firsthand. And for me, I didn't have the steps set up to be able to do that abroad. It was just a little bit, honestly, easier to see that in person near us. So we started manufacturing in a different state. And then actually for the last 5 to 6 years, all of our production is done in our very city. And we're partnered up so we can go see our manufacturing on a daily basis if we wanted.
Excellent. Wonderful. That's a great why Hayley, thank you so much. I think the world needs more of Hayleys. Um, uh, so, Hayley, which platform do you use to sell online? What's your distribution of sale, online versus offline?
Sure. Yeah, we use Shopify. And then we also have one flagship store in our city. And then we do wholesale. So I'd say probably about, honestly, 50% of our sales come in store. We've got a pretty good in-store following because people can try things on, hear our mission. We have very high conversions in store. And then we have about split online direct to customer, and then half of that would be via wholesale, so other boutiques carrying us.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So, why Shopify?
So I started with WordPress and a few years ago, and I think the real switch came when Shopify became available, and they made my life easier, honestly, as the business owner, to see how many people, how much traffic. I love those numbers. I love seeing the reports. WordPress kind of makes you do everything yourself or just hire a big web team. And as a startup, that wasn't, viable. So Shopify has really impressed me lately, especially too, trying to pivot in terms of things happening with COVID and offering curbside pickup. And they've just continued to, in my opinion, grow. I haven't had anything really in front of me that I felt has compared, but I know there are other great platforms. I've just enjoyed Shopify thus far.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. Alicia, when you are relaunching next year, what platform would you choose and why?
Very much same reasons, I think, as Hayley. I mean, we're looking at, we're on Shopify at the moment, and we used to have a bespoke system, and frankly, it was a bit of a nightmare, actually. So I think if there are these open source platforms that are out there, which are really simple, anybody, I'm not techie at all, I hate it. So if I can go in there and change an image and do things on a platform, hey, it's amazing. You don't need coders, developers. It's pretty simple. They've got lots of great APIs, and it's just simple. I think for us SME, and if you're sort of scaling up, even further, I think it is quite relevant and easy to use.
Interesting. So, Alicia, why did you choose to rebrand yourself? In other words, if somebody has been doing a thing for almost a decade and a half, why should somebody rebrand? What should occur in their life or in their business that they should think about rebranding or relaunching?
Yeah, I think one is probably I got a little bit complacent, and I was just moving along and doing my work, had a couple of kids, and I think also too, you need to look at what's happening out in the market. What other competition is coming out there? What are people's wants and needs? Is that changing? When we launched, 15 years ago, it was a very sort of vegan. Which is amazing. I'm vegan, so that's it's amazing to run a business on my ethics. I'm not saying that's a negative thing. It's super positive, but you need to look at the surrounding of what's happening around you. And we, when I first started, it was very much vegan. It was a bit hippie, and all that sort of thing. So what we need to do is now become a little bit more contemporary. Vegan veggies are our market, but obviously there is a conscious consumer, and also now with COVID times, hopefully people are thinking a little bit more about where they're making their purchases. They want to look at companies which have a story behind them, were purpose-driven businesses like Hayley's, etc., which have always been since 2005. So what we want to do is, just make ourselves a little bit more modern, contemporary. We're not changing who we are. It's just slightly the branding and how we're talking about it. And also with our footwear design, we are changing, the styles, etc., that we're offering as what we used to. And that's based on, increased competition out there. So we just need to ensure that we're, keeping up and making sure we're doing the right things to, sustain the business, really.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. That's a good piece of advice. So, Alicia, tell me that how were the last 6 months for you?
Well, we had paused the business. So we don't have, we're not transacting at all. We just have our website. So on a business point of view, we're on pause. It's fine. And I'm working on developing a new branding, etc. So we could continue with that. On a personal level, obviously we had homeschooling. Do they do that in America? Or I don't know if you have kids, Hayley, but I do not want to be a teacher. So when you've got children at home for 6 months and you're their teacher, plus doing the business, plus the cooking, plus everything else, it's like, But anyway, the last 6 months is different, but we've come through it. And on a business point of view now, obviously I've got a lot more time now that I can really push forward with the rebrand.
Excellent. Wonderful. Great.
Yeah.
Honestly, as an entrepreneur myself, I did not know that we can pause our business. That's something
Right.
people can learn from you, because I'm doing this. I'm doing so many things, and I don't know where the pause button. Hayley, do you have a pause button in your business? Like pause. and I'm going.
Alicia would have to teach me a thing or two about that one. I think that's a lot of self-control, which sounds so cool. I love that you're rebranding. That sounds amazing. But yeah,
I think
the pause button yet.
Yeah. I mean, I have the luxury of, that I do have a husband, really. I do have someone who can support me. And if I'm looking at the business and thinking, okay, isn't the direction that I want it to go? I have that luxury. Not all businesses may have that, but I think sometimes, we as entrepreneurs, we just get so, working in our bubble. We're just constantly grinding. And, it's good to be able to have that luxury of being able to sit back, pause a little bit, make that decision and move forward. I'm not saying it's easy for everyone that they can do it, but sometimes it's better to take a step back and look versus churning on and continuing on this vicious cycle that may not be, necessarily the most positive in all cases.
So the learning is your husband is your pause button. So that's the pause button that you need. In your business.
Or my punching bag too, yeah.
Yes. So
he's a nice guy.
Tell us something about your business in the last 6 months. How have the last 6 months been for you, and what do you forecast for yourself?
So we're in kind of a unique spot. For whatever reason, the last 6 months have actually been better than last year's 6 months at this time. I think for a few reasons. Our online presence increased a lot, or I guess our online conversions. And I think it's mainly due to the fact that we make comfy loungewear. And so literally people put, kind of, I guess, a pause on so many work clothes or just things they would wear to maybe go out. And then instead they kind of upped their game with their houseware and then their clothing at home. And so what we make is literally kind of like luxurious, comfortable, stay at home gear that you can wear out as well. But I think that was part of it. And then also the fact that we make a difference. I think if people were going to spend money on something, it was either something that would benefit them at home and their family, that would last for a long time. So maybe it would stretch their budget. And then also that or that would give back to somebody and, make a difference. And so I think we just happened to be in a good spot, but during the shutdown, we had to shut our flagship store down, which I mentioned was about 50% of our sales. And so that was just weird, terrifying, eerie, going in there and dealing with our manufacturers, which were shut down as well. We didn't know what was going to happen. Our production was just pushed so far back. We're still catching up. So in terms of sales, things have been good. But in terms of, production and just trying to get back to normal, things are just weird, just like with everybody else. But we're getting through it, and it's been interesting. Also just trying to learn from other business owners that are maybe similar to ours to see, what have you been doing? What trends are you seeing? We've really been trying to look at consumer reports and things like that to just try to make sure we're connecting with what people need and want right now.
Absolutely. This too shall pass. That's what I learned. Are you funded, Haley?
We're not.
Are you looking for funding?
I think so, potentially. We've been toying around with it, and it would have to be a particular funder. We've received a few small contributions to fund, like we have a mobile boutique. That's one element of our business that was funded, but so we've kind of dabbled in that. And we also have a nonprofit arm, and we've received some large funds and donations. In a sense, we've kind of been working with those people to see if they might be great kind of in-house investors in a way, but have not yet really taken the plunge.
So your offline store you had to shut down, and now you're focusing on your online Shopify store. When you look, so on your online Shopify store, how many orders do you get per day?
It kind of varies, and our in-store is back open. But it's been only for the last 2 months or so. And I don't know, it could vary from 10 to, 30. It's not too busy. We're still, trying to grow our online presence. But that we also, again, on the side are working on wholesale. And so it's kind of this weird toss and turn between what we're selling out of as well. That's been a hard thing because we're a small batch manufacturing company. So, sometimes our online conversions also can be low when someone drops something in their cart or they can't drop something in their cart that we're out of stock in. So honestly, we've been trying to get creative and, lead customers down a different path of maybe you might like this. In store, that's a little bit easier for us, but right now with our manufacturing about 3 months behind with pretty much double, sales and conversions than we've seen before. I think that that's also affecting our online orders because of the fact that we're out of stock in so many things. So it's a challenge that we haven't really seen before, and we're just trying to figure out ways to contact customers that are trying to order from us, like we can see in our back end, drop carts and things like that. So we've been trying to just stay really connected and be communicating through email, through social media, to try to be transparent. Hey, if you're looking for something we're out of, you can order a pre-order option. These are things that we've added to our website, like pre-orders and even early bird specials when we're going to drop something new, and that way they know if we run out, don't worry, we'll make more, that sort of thing.
Excellent, wonderful. That's a great thing to hear from you. I have been interviewing a lot of people over the last 1 week, guys. People are doing online, wholesale, and retail. In the online world, the entire world is your customer base. You can ship anywhere. You can have great deals with DHL and other people, and they can actually help you ship to anywhere in the world in 2 or 3 days. Yesterday I was interviewing a guy in New York. He's selling jewelry in New York, and he is able to ship for free to any place in the world in 2 days if your order is above $100. So that's the deal is struck with. $100 is not a lot of money. $100 is like is people spend on $100 very easily online. So if this guy is able to strike a deal with DHL, is offering free shipping for $100 and above orders, that is doable. So the world, and he is focusing just on Shopify, just online. So Alicia, now in your Alicia 2.0 version, will, will you be focusing on online, offline, wholesale? What will you focus on? The focus will be with what and why?
Our focus will be D2C, direct to customer, and we will also then look at physical locations, but this is via sort of experiential experiences and pop-up shops. We have done wholesale in the past with our business model, but it's a very challenging place, really. And you have to look at margins. If you're looking at different retail shops, they want all sorts of different wheeling and dealing, and whether it's, you know, on a wholesale side, or you can hire a space within a shop, or they want sale and return, etc. And I think, you know, when you look at a lot of businesses are moving D2C, direct to customer, more so, and that's something that works more so with us, and that's what we're going to be looking at. But also too, footwear is something that people want to see and touch and try on. You know, feet, I mean, feet, you might be a size 5, but they all come in odd shaped sizes, wide, narrow, you know, whew, crazy. So, you know, it's very important for people to be able to touch a product. So we are aiming, you know, to look at not necessarily pop-up shops where we'll have masses of stock there. It's more about experiential spaces where we will maybe have some stock, we'll have samples, people can try them, they can look at the materials, we'll be talking to them about the materials, they'll meet me as the founder, we can tell them about their story. And so, you know, obviously this needs to be fine-tuned, but you know, it's looking about it not just as a sales, but obviously as a marketing, and also somewhere, you know, where people who share our like-minded and a community of our, let's say, customers can come and hang out, you know, can come and talk, can come and share their values, etc. So that's what we're looking at.
Excellent. Wonderful. Approximately a month back, Alicia, I was talking to somebody, and I got a very stunning number that in India, 70% of the times when somebody buys a footwear, the footwear is returned 70% of the times,
Right.
because different people have different structures of their foot. Sometimes
Yes.
you have a narrow structure in the front and broad at the end, and so you generally end up returning a footwear because the size was not perfect. So one of the persons in our country have invented a software in which you can install on Shopify, and you just have to click a picture of your foot and upload a photograph on your site, and the site will suggest you the right size for your foot.
Okay.
There are a lot of technologies. It's called foot tech. We have ed tech, fintech, and we have foot tech. In the foot tech space, what technologies are you think? So would you, if you would like to connect with this person, I'm more than happy to connect that person to you. You can perhaps explore what other foot tech she can give you. What technologies do you think you will adopt when you relaunch yourself?
You know, there are, I mean, yes, do connect me, but there, you know, there are different options out there in regards to the technology. So it's a matter about looking at how easy that is to integrate, let's say, into the site, and how relevant it is. So I must admit, we haven't looked deeply into it. You know, there are other technologies where you can actually walk into a shop and get that done in store, and the foot measured up, etc. With the footwear that we're aiming at, it's more sort of comfort footwear, you know, with sort of slippers and mules. And yes, we will have trainers and a few different things. But it's about, yeah, explaining to the customer about how would you size your foot, how would you, you know, have the fitting, and, you know, being a little bit more aware of that. And footwear manufacture is very difficult. You know, because each shoe can come in different widths and size, and et cetera, et cetera. And as a small company, we just don't have the resources to be able to provide that service. You know, people often say, oh, can you have half sizes? Like, well, it's not that easy. Because, you know, with every half size, you have a new last. With every last, you've got to do, you know, you have to make so many lasts to go into production. So as much as we would love to have everything, we can't. But we have found, you know, with obviously these podiatrists and looking at the shapes of our footwear, et cetera, we try and make them as comfortable as they can across a broad spectrum of, let's say, shaped feet. And because our customer, we keep it minimal lasts, basically. We don't have, a last is the shape of the shoe that it's made of. So we minimize that number, and therefore, if you could fit last A in this particular style, then you're going to be able to fit that shoe. We've been really lucky that, you know, our returns rate has really been 10, 15%. It's not really high because we communicate well with our customers and we talk to them about it, but definitely technology is something that we will look into.
Wonderful, excellent. Thank you so much. Hayley, what are you doing to convert your customers into fans? So customers come and go, clients stay with you for a little longer, and fans love you. How do you transform your customers into your fans?
That's a great question. Actually, these last 2 years, really the last year, have we been really, trying to hit it hard in the pavement with exactly what you're talking about. So we've dabbled with some different things. We've tried ideas where we would donate a pair of underwear, of course, with someone's purchase, but then also send a pair of underwear of their choice to a friend, just to let somebody try a pair. And of course, it'd have to be a female friend. So that doesn't always work because we also make menswear. So that's something that we've tried though. We've been, like Alicia saying, communicating really hard with our customers and just having really top-notch customer service. For example, if somebody has really any issue with a product, we do a return or an exchange. Again, we try to lead them down the path of exchange, but we want them to literally love the product. We don't make them pay for return shipping. Right now we're doing free shipping. So we're trying to make their experience really exciting. The other thing that we do in our store, and this doesn't work for every brand because I know every brand doesn't have a flagship store or multiple brick and mortars or anything like that, but we have a backyard space in our store. And so that's just kind of unique to us, but we have concerts. During COVID, we've done a lot in our backyard. We've had, tie-dye events. We try to create long-term customers by launching our products strategically, and we create staple basics that we really don't have. No piece has really ever left our collection. So our customers can come back and buy something that they really, really love. Or if we launch it in a new color, they get really excited about a new color addition because they love that product. And so I think just by creating stellar products that they keep in their closet for a long time, it actually makes them remember us, because probably similar to Alicia's shoes, people can wear it for a long time. They're sustainable, they're lasting. So they look back on that piece in their closet and think, wow, I love this piece so much. I probably should get another if I love it this much. And so just these little things, making people remember us with, smell in our boutique, certain music in our, in our shop, having these events that they remember and they tell friends about. So I really think within the last year have people really, and this is our six and a half year in business. So we're still in startup mode, but I think really just this last year, after about year 5, have people really started coming out of the woodworks. And we've really been seeing customers that have maybe placed like 30 orders over the last 6 years and things like that. It takes years to see the patterns. And I'm sure Alicia can really talk about that way more with being in business so much longer, but we weren't really seeing that after year 3. We'd have a couple customers like that. Now we're able to see who are these customers continuing to come back, what are they doing, what patterns are they taking, and how can we really just revamp on that. And so I'm always open to learning more new ideas. I've been hopping on a lot of webinars to see what other business owners are doing, but those are kind of just the examples of what we've tried and what's been working.
Excellent, wonderful. Donating, communicating with your folks, with your customers, making sure that when they return the product to you, that you do not charge them for shipping, doing concerts, launching new colors, communicating constantly are some of the tips which Hayley has given to connect with your customers and make them your fans. Excellent. Thank you so much, Hayley. Hayley, are you putting money in Zuckerberg's and Larry Page's pocket?
Say that again.
Are you putting money on Facebook and Instagram? So I asked you.
I get it now. I didn't hear it, but a little bit. So we do most of our advertising, I'd say, with Google AdWords, but we do some Instagram and Facebook marketing. And so again, that's something that we've been really experimenting with this year, seeing what's really working. One thing I know that has not worked well for us is print advertising, even though, you know, I love it. I'm a journalism major, I'm a magazine design major from back when I was in school. So those things are very important to me, but we've tried things like that. We've also tried marketing through expos and, you know, the large like Magic and those large apparel expos. Those have not really been great for us. And so we are really seeing probably the best conversion from the ads through Google AdWords. A little Facebook, little Instagram.
If you're putting X on Google, what is your multiplication factor? ROI.
Like why? I think that people are converting more with the ads. So we're seeing more sales through Google Ads. Whereas
some numbers, because people want to understand that if, let's say, I'm spending $100 on ads, will I get business worth $300, $500? What is my ROAS? They say ROAS means return on ad spend. If you're spending X, what do you get back? How much revenue do you get back? Are you able to measure it? The first question is, are you able to measure it?
Yeah, so this has again been like probably the year or two, the last 2 years have we really been trying different things and experimenting. So we're kind of still in that experimenting phase so we can come up with the large scale of numbers. Although I think that the quickest thing I can say is that Google Ads have for sure been performing better for us than Facebook and Instagram. But I would say that probably if I could put a number on it right now, maybe 10% of people will, you know, spend with, if I had 100% of, if we're talking about 100% of the ad spend, probably 10% of that number will actually spend. So I think that it's definitely, and sorry, maybe I'm not communicating this properly. What I mean is that we're not losing 90% of the money. I guess what I'm saying is that 100%, over 100% of the dollar is coming back to us. But I guess I'm thinking in my head one thing, but I don't know how I can explain the 10%.
Suppose you are spending $1,000 on Google Ads. Are you getting orders on your site worth $3,000, worth $5,000 because of those ads?
I'd say like $1,200 if we're putting it in that. So I'd say around like $1,200 we would get back. So we're definitely getting back what we spend. Plus, I guess what I'm saying is an extra 10%. So it's not
that's not profit. I mean,
I know. I mean, it hasn't been great, but again, we're probably, I don't know what Alicia's ad spend is, but we're not putting a ton in because we just started actually making a profit a few years ago. So it's just little by little, we're growing it a little by little. So our goal right now is to stay above and then just make small profits at a time until we can. But I think that we would probably need probably a big investor to have a huge ad budget where we could really see growth in terms of that. Right now, all we're looking for is new customers through that, because again, they'll convert later after the ad. So that gives us, you know, something there is if we can capture them once, we most likely can capture them again 2-3 times. And then we're not spending money on them the second and third time, if that makes sense. So we're kind of taking it as that with just a little bit, spending a little bit, not losing money, and then keeping those customers. So that's kind of our startup small budget way of holding on to these people that are converting from the ad spend.
It's a good takeaway.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay.
Alicia,
I think it just paused for a minute. I think we're back on. Great.
Okay.
So, Alicia, where do you spend your marketing pounds?
Well, I haven't done any for a while. But, you know, I suppose we did PPC and SEOs, and we did a bit of Google shopping. Facebook and Instagram as well, we sort of started to deal with. But as Hayley said, we were tiny, so we didn't sometimes, it was hard to sometimes measure because we didn't have a big budget. You just say, okay, let's throw this in and see what it is. We would sort of chip away a little bit and grow slowly. Yeah, so we, the social media was always good for us. And yeah, and so I think that was one of the decisions, is to say, sort of to pause and let's say, okay, how can we try and get reposition ourselves, rebrand, and get more of a budget spend that we can able to measure this a lot better for us.
Mm-hmm. So you were not spending too much on ads, only a bit. So do you know some numbers? If you were spending X pounds, what was your ROI?
Oh, gosh, not off the top of my head. I haven't done it for so long, but it wasn't, 2-3 times, just, unfortunately, but just we're chipping away. So, it was a little bit, not a lot really. Yeah.
That's the problem which is being faced by a lot of people around the globe. They are putting a lot of money. They're making Zuckerberg, already he is filthy rich and he doesn't know what to do with the money. And we are putting more money in his pocket and he has no idea what to do with it. Same with Google. They have no idea what to do with this money, and we're giving them more money. We're making them all richer, and they don't need the money. So Enalito is able to do a customer segmentation and product segmentation for our e-commerce clients. We are able to tell you which customers you're about to lose, which are your VIP customers, which customer you should target on Facebook, which customer you should target on Instagram, and you spend your marketing money judiciously, because it's hard-earned money. You can't be just making rich people richer. You should spend that money to get at least 10x ROI. So that's what we have been doing with some of our clients in the US, and we have some of our clients in India who are now making their marketing spend more judiciously than ever before. We'd love to catch up with you guys on this maybe sometime next week. Coming to Hayley, with you again. Hayley, in the future, you're saying you will be focusing on, of course, online a lot more. But then in the last 6 months, did you make any mistakes? In other words, were you reacting or responding to situations? Because this is like uncertain times which nobody had foreseen. So did you make mistakes? If yes, what are the learnings? What can people learn from you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm always making mistakes, but the last 6 months, honestly, I've tried to really just rope in our budget. And if we have seen growth, use that and hold on to it, and either, pay off some debt or use it to buy, fabric and products, work on collections that I know will sell well. I think more of my mistakes have happened in the past. So not as much the last 6 months. And of course I've made day-to-day mistakes, but I can't think of anything as big recently, like during COVID times. Really, I've tried to just be more strategic and really not blow it these last 6 months. But I think in the past, if I can mention that, it's just really paying attention to, you have to jump out and do things and try things to know what works. And so I really don't know if those are big mistakes. So if people could learn from me, I think that all I would say is, you have to try these things to then make the mistake. So it's kind of hard to tell someone what not to do. But I know that things that I would pay more attention, don't take such a huge leap financially that will burden the business. And so, for example, if you're unsure about, I'm trying to think of like a big dollar thing, an expo. If you're unsure and you've never been before, maybe don't put $10,000 down on the line when you're a new business. Nobody's going to see you, things like that. So I think our biggest potential mistakes needed to happen to know that they were, that it was a mistake. Although I would tell anyone starting a new business to just be careful of, sales people, big dollar expos, things like that you don't know if they're going to have a big return, and then you'll be digging yourself out of a hole. So I think our biggest mistakes were really those digging ourselves out of a hole moment, where we could have used those funds on, ads, more products, things that we do know will do well. So taking baby steps and maybe taking smaller chances, those are the keys to success. The big chances, sometimes, it's hard to get out of.
Yes.
Especially now during COVID.
Yes.
Now would be not the time to take a big chance.
Yes. Yesterday, I was interviewing a guy called Mark. I think you guys were there. You guys were not there in the catch-up call, but Mark lives in Tennessee in the US, and his family used to work in Levi's, and Levi's shut down their factory in Tennessee, and he took upon himself to start a denim factory in Tennessee, not just for his family, but for the entire community. Great guy, very nice guy. This guy was a gambler. He did prison time in the US, and he came back from prison and made a story worth listening to. He was fabulous last night in the webinar. So, you know what he said? He said, Amit, when I had a lot of money, I was making wrong decisions. I was giving $10,000 to the marketing company, and the marketing company was not doing beep. And I was giving $20,000 to this guy, and they were not doing beep.
Yes.
So, and he said, when I have less money today, I'm making my decisions more judiciously. I'm thinking about spending, where will this money give me the best ROI? So I think that's what happens. So when you have a lot more extra, you splurge, and we don't get to understand that way should it be spent. I want to understand from you, Hayley. You use Shopify. You love the graphs and the data which Shopify gives you. Apart from Shopify, what other app you'd use for customer segmentation or product segmentation? Do you know, in other words, do you know which customers you're about to lose? Do you know which are your VIP customers? Do you know which customers have the potential to become loyal? Which customers will never become loyal to you? Do you have any idea about your customers? If yes, what idea you have?
Okay, so I think everything other than the last few that you mentioned are things that we don't really have access to. So we do have access to dropped carts, VIP customers. We don't have access to the ones you're talking about with, could they be a potential VIP customer, other than us gauging their patterns. We ourselves, Shopify does do a great job, like you're saying, things I'm impressed with in terms of reports, and they segment out the customers in so far away, and not, to the extreme degree, but I think that we've been able to tell a bit more about our customers, but you could always use more. And the other apps, we don't even use a platform like ShipStation, but also we have kind of a complicated, one app that I would be interested in is one that automatically takes products that are in a set out of our inventory. That's been a struggle for us, is Shopify does not have an option where, say we sell a pajama set and we have 2 pieces in it, we have to manually create that item and then ensure that our inventory has basically enough to account for it, because it won't automatically deplete the shorts and the shirt from our inventory as different items. So that's actually a app I wish that we had to loop in. The other thing is the other items, apps that I'd be interested is the ones that suggest to the customer, oh, you should get this if you like these shorts, you should get this to add in. So we have not experimented with those yet, but I think that's an option with Shopify. And then also we're not able to use things like ShipStation because we have a complicated inventory right now where we have to do a lot of direct communication with the customer. So even if we wanted someone from afar to fulfill our orders, we'd either have to sell everything solo, not in sets, or we have to do it ourselves so that if something happens, we can reach out to the customer, if that makes sense. So we're kind of in this weird limbo where we're looking to implement some more apps that will make our lives a little bit easier. Some are not out yet though. And also, like you're saying, I don't think that Shopify offers some of those more in-depth learning about the customer and their, you know, how they act on other websites and things like that. Those are things I'd be interested in, knowing who to target and who not to target, I guess.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we have a Shopify app. Just go ahead and write Enalito and install it. We got 5 stars on Shopify app. A lot of problem which you are facing on your store will be solved by just a click of a button.
All right.
And if you have, and it's free for all our speakers who are coming on board and speaking with us. It's free for you for 45 days. If you don't like it, we don't charge you for that. Yes. The same offer for Alicia as well. Thank you so much, Alicia, for coming over. One last question to Alicia. Alicia, what would you advise people who are now thinking of venturing into e-commerce? Because offline world, a lot of big companies have shut down. The billion-dollar valuations have shut down over the last. They could not sustain 2 months of pandemic, and they shut down. So a lot of people are now looking at e-commerce, having zero inventory, make the product when the order comes in. Those are the fundas. Those are the funda people are using. What would you advise people who want to venture into e-commerce?
So what would I advise someone who wants to start an e-commerce business, or so do they have an existing business? They're just wanting to go into the e-commerce side.
Yes. They have an existing business and they now want to have an e-commerce business because existing business is offline and they are not sure about it. So they want to now start e-commerce.
Well, you know, I think, digital is the way ahead, as they're saying. And I think it's a matter of, you know, there are lots of open source platforms out there, you know, and I think what's available today is you can sign up to, let's say, Shopify, you know, and you can have a website in a matter of days, really. So I think it's finding, you know, don't go sort of all whistles and bells to start off with. I think, you know, keep, you know, the KISS principle, really keep it simple. Find a platform that works for you, that you're able to very much develop it yourself. I mean, it is sometimes when people first go into it, think, oh my God, I'm not a coder, developer, I can't do anything. But there are lots of open source places out there now that are, you know, anyone can do really. And I think it's a matter of taking it step by step, and, you know, speaking to, obviously, I would say, you know, one of the main, you know, mistakes that I made is I don't talk to any other businesses as much as I should, you know, and I think it's making sure you just reach out to businesses and find out who's on Shopify or etc. and start talking to people and networking and getting support from others and working out how they did it, really. And I think, and that's the thing, don't, you know, as entrepreneurs, I think we always feel as though we have to do everything ourselves and work in our bubbles. But hey, there are people out there, and make sure you go and talk to people about it.
Yes, absolutely. Great. That's a great piece of advice. I have spoken to at least 100 speakers in about last 3 months. The idea is because I started this knowledge series because people could use your knowledge. People could use your learnings. Because these are times when you should actually give back to people who could use it. So every day I'm talking to 2 or 3 people so that, and then we do a dissemination of these videos, 5-minute video snippets going on different channels. People can learn from Hayley. People can learn from Alicia of the world. So 90% of these people I've spoken to are on Shopify. So, and so you are in the right hands. Shopify is the place to go to. Magento, WordCommerce, BigCommerce, WooCommerce, with all the respect to them, they are not able to do what Shopify is able to do. So you definitely are on the right platform. Focus more on e-commerce. That's what I've been learning. Hayley, a lot of people are also applying to Shark Tank. I at least in my last 100 people I interviewed, 4 were Shark Tank winners. And these guys have struck deal with Barbara, with Mark, with a lot of other people on Shark Tank, and even by going there, you make a lot of name for yourself. And try that. Alicia, if something of that sort happens in the UK, please try that. It's going to give you a lot of marketing to you. Even if you do not able to strike a deal with somebody, it will help you a great deal in marketing. Influencers, something like influencers. So I have myself been learning a lot from these people because I've been talking to them every day. So I'm just giving it to you. If you could use some of it. Influencers, people are able to convince influencers to market your product for free. You just have to give them perhaps some vegan footwear and some of your apparel as gifts, and engage with them in conversations. Don't ask. So one thing I've learned, guys, if you go to an investor and ask for money, he'll give you advice. If you ask for advice, he'll give you money. So if you want money, don't ask for money, ask for advice. Same way, if you are asking an influencer to help you with your marketing, they will never help you. But you're asking for advice, you're just chatting with them, you're just maybe doing a webinar with them, doing a session with them, being in relationship with them. They might just help you themselves. Say, hey, let me promote your stuff. These are my 2 cents. And one more thing that I learned was, be obsessive about adding value to your customers. If you're obsessive about adding value to what you're doing, you will never have a bad day. There's a guy called Tony Shays in the US. Tony was selling shoes like Alicia is doing for women, shoes for women. And this guy was making losses, huge losses every goddamn day. But Tony was obsessed with adding value to his customers, which were women in the US, for buying footwear. And women, I'm sure you can vouch for it, women have a different relationship, different emotional bonding with shoes. Men don't have that bonding with shoes, but women do have. And this guy was selling shoes, and he was making losses because women were not buying shoes online 15 years back. This is 15 years back story. He went to his investor, Tony went to his investors and said, you know what? I want to let my customers buy shoes online, as many pairs as they want, and no shipping charges. They can return me all the pairs, and we will bear shipping charges. So investors told Tony, are you crazy? I mean, you are letting somebody try 15 pairs of shoes. You're not going to charge anything. No shipping back and forth. Are you crazy? Tony said, yes, I'm crazy. I want to add value to my customers. And he said, let's try this for 1 month. So Tony was able to convince his investors that let's do it for 1 month. And then, guys, rest was history. Tony was able to sell his company for $1.2 billion to Amazon, because Tony was obsessive about adding value to what you're doing. If you are obsessive about adding value to what you're doing, obsessive about adding, how can I make my customer happy? How can I make them my fan? How can I do extra for them? Yesterday, I was interviewing somebody, her name was Sabrina. She was, again, in apparel industry. She used to write hand cards, like hand postcards for every customer. Hope you like it. You know what? You can also buy a pair of trousers with this shirt which you bought, like handwritten cards being sent. Now you can employ an intern for that, because the customer will not know whether it's being written by Alicia or her intern, but then a handwritten postcard that goes inside the packet with the shipping makes a lot of difference. That this person is caring for me, is suggesting me like a handwritten postcard along with the shipment. These are some of the ways we can add value to our customers in the e-commerce industry. We at Enalito, my founder and our entire team, constantly keep innovating. How can we make our product better? So we are launching a new feature in our Enalito product every goddamn month, because we are, again, obsessive about adding value to our clients and to basically move forward. Guys, thank you so much. Thank you very much. We are well within time. We could finish in 60 minutes, less than 60 minutes. I'm so glad. There was so much to learn from you guys. Thank you so much, and have a fantastic week ahead. Can't be more thankful to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Nice to meet
Hayley,
you.
thanks so much.
Nice to meet you guys.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.